Hey, what's up, Air Mark crew? Hey, listen, this is Donald Jenkins, your Master Purpose Development Coach, bringing you a PDI Smart Leadership Moment. And I am excited to be able to present these videos to you to just sum up the last three lectures or sessions that we've had so that your takeaways can be strong. You know, we don't want these to just be a check the box experience. We want them to be a check the heart experience. So there's several things that I've done up until this point to make sure that you can have a check the heart experience. Number one, we did the intuitive growth performance assessment. The reason why that assessment was so important because it was a check the heart. You had to really check your heart on your day-to-day activities to make sure that you were executing those things that the question was asking. Most trainers are just check the box. We go through the process. Yep, we did it. And we forget about it, once we get back into the workplace. Well, that's not what we're doing here. We don't want you to forget about it. We want you to translate it. I'm going to say it again. I don't want you to forget about it. I want you to translate it into practice. So that's what this video is about, is to help you practice what we learn in the classroom into a real world environment. So even the 7-day journal, all right, that was a check the heart experience because each day you had to check your heart, on certain things. And the reason why that's important because most leaders, when they come to work, even though they might have a leadership role, but they don't have a heart to grow. 92% of the leaders in the workplace do not have a heart to grow. And one of the things that we always say is that building a team is not about working together, but it also includes how to grow together. We work together, but we know how to grow together. So what I've been focusing on is helping your team understand what it takes to grow together. All right. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to put some samples together so that you can continue to practice this from the heart. Because if you're not practicing it, outside of work, you're not going to practice it at work. If you don't have a heart to grow outside of work, then guess what? You're not going to have a heart to grow at work. And this caused many problems in the workplace. That's the reason why it's just a check the box experience, because people go through sit in leadership training and never practice the stuff that they learn in those particular trainings. That's not what we do here at the PDI. All right. Our success, our guarantees are all centered around you practicing what you are learning. So let's go over this. Let's talk about some of the things. Now, when I was there on the last visit, several things that came up, some concerns, about some of the things that stood out within your culture. And one of them was communications, change management, and continuity. Those three things right there. Call them the three C's: communications, continuity, and change management. All right. So let's talk about how we can apply what we learn to those things and how those things are intricately involved in applying what you learn, because you got to be able to communicate. If you can't communicate, then all of this fall apart. All right. If you can't, manage and navigate change, then all of this falls apart. If you can't build continuity in relationships, then everything fall apart. So those three C's are critical. All right. So let's kind of back up and let's start with the whole trusted basketball purpose. All right. Here's the basketball again. I know many of you was asking, where was the basketball in the last lecture? Well, I'm bringing it back out again. Now, the reason why this is important because it's a simple exercise. Now, I need to encourage you guys. Now, when I'm there, y'all need to ask me some questions. All right. If there's things that you don't understand, that's the perfect time to say, Mr. Jenkins, stop. All right. Can you break this down for me? Because I don't want this to be a check the box experience. I need to be a check the heart experience. I need to be able to pour my heart into this. All right. So I want to make it as simple as possible. We have the basketball. The basketball has three purposes associated with it. I dribble it, I pass it, and I shoot it. All right. And how well I do that will determine how successful my team will be. I'm going to say that again. Dribble, pass, shoot. How well I do it will determine the success of my team. Now, let's look at the team. All right. Let's look at you as a leader. Just like the basketball has three options associated with it, you as a leader, you have three options. All right. First option, number one, is design. Number two, direction. Number 3, development. When you do all 3, then you're going to improve the performance of your team. Okay. Design, direction, development. You know them as the 3Ds. Always think about the 3Ds. Anytime you run into a bitter moment, think about the 3Ds. Anytime you run into bitter work, think about the 3Ds. Always stop and think about the 3Ds. I don't care if you have to say, wait a minute, hold up. I need to think about the 3Ds right there in that moment. Why is that important? Because it's the difference between you feeding your appetite for power versus feeding your appetite for purpose. If you don't execute the 3Ds by default, you're going to feed the appetite for power. That's where you're losing people at. Okay. That's where the workplace environment is turning bitter and cold when you exercise when you feed the appetite for power. So you got to learn how to feed the appetite for purpose. When you crack the code of purpose, you get more out of people by cracking the code of purpose than you can by cracking the whip. All right. So what I've been teaching you is how to crack the code of purpose. It's a simple process. Number 1, you got to ask these 3 questions. Why am I here? Number 2, what am I supposed to be doing? Number 3, how can I get better at doing this? All right. Those are your options. Every day you get out of bed, you need to practice that. Every moment you need to look at your day. And every time you run into a bitter relationship or you run into bitter work, you need to ask yourself, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? How can I get better at doing what I'm doing? It's just that simple. I can't get any simpler than that. All right. It's just that simple. Why are you asking those questions? Because you are growth hacking your personality. You are activating what it takes to grow beyond your personality. Because many leaders, they lead based on their personality, their leadership, their personality, which is closely connected to their leadership style. Okay. We want you to grow beyond your leadership style so that now you can feed the appetite for purpose and grow with the people that are a part of your team. All right. So let's break the question down. Why am I here? That is a matter of design. All right. Every person was put on this planet because they were designed to bring value. So as a leader, you got to stop and say, wait a minute. Why am I here? I'm designed to bring value. So if your next move does not bring value to that person and to you, you made the wrong move. I'm going to say that again. If your next move, the thing that you're getting ready to say, or the thing that you're getting ready to do does not bring value to you and that person, then you made the wrong move. Okay. Why? Because you didn't growth hack that situation. You didn't feed the appetite for purpose. You didn't crack the code of purpose. You're so busy cracking the whip. Okay. This is where we're losing people at. All right. So first question, why am I here? I got to bring value. That's design. That's the first D. All right. Second D is, what am I supposed to be doing? So if you got the value down, then you might need to ask yourself, what am I supposed to be doing? All right. You're supposed to make sure that the relationship is still headed in a positive direction. If you're doing anything besides that, then you are a contributor to the bitterness in the workplace. Okay. That person needs to know that the relationship is still headed in a good direction. You need to make sure that you are saying things. Your next move is to make sure that you're moving that person in the right direction. You're moving yourself in a direction of a healthy relationship, not a toxic relationship. That's your next move. All right. So these options basically defines your next move. The last option is, how can I get better? All right. When you ask that question, then your next move should be, how can I make sure that person understand that I am growing with them and not apart from them? Because if I don't do that, then I made the wrong move. Okay. I made the wrong move because this is about communication, continuity, and change. All right. Communication, continuity, and change takes place around those 3 Ds. I'm going to say that again. Communication, continuity, and change are born out of the 3Ds, because now I'm communicating to that person value. All right. That person feel like they connected to my value as a leader. That person is connected to the direction that I'm leading in. That person is engaged in growing with me, changing. We're changing together. We're managing change together. All right. As a team, we're managing that change together. Not that I leave you to your own devices to manage the change that I'm trying to bring into this team. No, that person needs to know that we're managing this change together. And when you fail to exercise those 3Ds, then you made the wrong move. Okay. And that's what exercising options are all about. All right. That's what the 7-day reflections is all about. That's what the intuitive growth program is all about. It's all about helping you understand how to growth hack, whether you're at work and whether you are away from work. Because if you're not going to do it at home, you're not going to do it at work. All right. If you don't have a heart to grow, see, the 3Ds captures your heart to grow. So the question is, leader, do you have a heart to grow? We already know that 92% of the people in the workplace do not have a heart to grow. All right. They don't have a heart to grow. So you're going to have to break the mold of that 92% and show your heart. As a leader, you got to show your heart to grow. If you are the top of this team, you got to show your heart to grow. You got to be more visible. Your heart to grow has to be on your sleeves. I'm going to say that again. Your heart to grow needs to be on your sleeve. Everybody needs to see your heart to grow. Okay? That needs to be the culture, the framework that every person within your team is operating from. Is that everybody can see the heart to grow. Everybody feel the heart to grow. All right? That's what transforming a job into a favorable opportunity is about. Is everybody is engaged in exercising their heart to grow. Hey, listen, go over that. I'm going to send you a little document to kind of highlight these things to go along with this video. So hopefully in the next lecture, the next session, we can spend some time, troubleshooting where you've been struggling at in these areas. All right. And open up and ask me some questions. Don't let me just come over there and y'all don't pick my brain. All right. Pick my brain on this stuff. Ask questions about how you can get better at exercising your options to grow. God bless you. Look forward to sharing more with you and helping your team become PDI smart.